Hello, welcome to my hoglets. As you can see from the picture, I have three. These ones here, oh, where you going, are 2 weeks old and they're just getting their eyes open. And this one is about 4.5, 5 weeks old. As you can see, quite a bit bigger. Gestation period for hoglets is 4.5 weeks. And when they're born, they're pink, and within 2 hours, the spines start to grow, and they're only the white spines that grow first. Within 9 days, they look like that, with all the different colour spines on them. They're born blind and they're born deaf. So within 2 weeks, the eyes open, and that's when the ears open, and the hoglets can then hear. These were found in people's gardens. Because of people have been doing all their gardening, they disturbed mum, and mum disappeared, and she didn't come back. So that's why I got them. I have to feed them every 2 hours on goat's milk. I'm going to take one out. I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to take this one out, and I use goat's milk. Full cream goat's milk, and I have to feed them every 2 hours. I do it really slowly so they don't choke. This one, the older one, will only take about 1.5 at once, and then I'll have to put him down and go back again in about another 10 minutes. This one's a bit fussy. It has to be warmish. At this age, I don't have to make him go to the toilet, but what I do with the others is I get a cotton bud and I rub their private parts, and that makes them go. You have to do that, otherwise it would all build up in their stomach. That's what mum would do in the wild, so I have to pretend that I'm mum. What a gorgeous creature. All the detail, all the whiskers, the lovely eyes, lovely tickly belly. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to put this one back and I'll show you the smaller ones. Well, in fact, I'll get one out together and I'll show you how different they are. Look how different they are. And as you can see, they're different browns as well. Hedgehogs are not all the same. Some are light and some are dark. They have 5 digits. And they also, if I show you the bigger one, have a tail. Lots of people don't realise that, but they have a tail. Gorgeous. I'm going to let this one crawl about in there because this one's more active. In the wild, this one would be foraging with his mum. And believe it or not, at 6 weeks, they're on their own. And that's why sometimes you find small hoglets out in the wild, because they've just decided to have a walkabout and they've lost their mum. When they're first born, they can't curl up into a ball. A few weeks later, they can. What it is, they have elastic around here, and that goes really tight, and they pull themselves in. Usually they do that when they want to protect themselves. When they're a year old, they're an adult. In the wild, they can live up to they're 10 years old, which is quite a good age. When these are at least 650 grams, they will be ready to be released. They're beautiful. Today we had someone in our treatment room actually cleaning out the hedgehogs that are in there, and she made a discovery that we didn't know. We took in a hedgehog 2 weeks ago, and we discovered this morning that she's got hoglets. And that happens to us quite often. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love them to bits. They have a litter of about 4 or 5 hoglets. And as I said before, mums are not very good mums. If they're disturbed, she will go away. Very rarely does she come back again. So if you are doing your gardens, just be aware that this is the time when mum has her babies. She has 2 litters from May and June, And then the winter one is September to October, which I find quite strange because for them to hibernate, they have to be at least 650 grams. But if they're born in October, it's very hard for them to get to that weight in that time. So that's usually when we have to take them in.
So I've had a lady called Jenny ask if you would keep them at the centre. So what happens as these grow?
Well, if they're not big enough by September or October, I will keep them over winter and until they are. Again, I would release them again probably in about April time. These I have to take home with me because they do need to be fed every 2 hours. I'll probably start about 7 o'clock in the morning and end about 10 o'clock at night.
And what should you do if you find a baby hedgehog, a hoglet?
If you find a hoglet and there's no sign of mum, then you must bring them in because they would not survive on their own. When they're about, this age, I'm trying to introduce this one to puppy food. And what I'm trying to do, I'll get a small dish of puppy food and mix it in with the goat's milk. So gradually, when this one's a bit big enough, it will eat puppy food. When it's a little bit older, I will then introduce dog food. And with that dog food, I would put cat biscuit because that helps to clean their teeth as well.
Vinny is asking how long do they live for?
The average is 7 to 8, but they can live up until they're 10, which is a really good age. A really good age.
A lady is asking, do you name them?
I don't. The reason being we have so many hedgehogs and hoglets come in, I would just run out of names, so I don't. I really don't. I'm not that good at names anyway, so. But they're actually gorgeous.
And what would they normally eat at this age in the wild?
In the wild, I mean, Mum would go around, she would be eating beetles, worms, that sort of thing, and she'd probably munch up a bit for the youngsters to eat. These youngsters would learn from their mum. Obviously, these are not going to learn from me, so it's going to take me time to get them to eat properly for me. They're not as advanced as they would be with mum, because if these were with mum, they'd be sucking on her most of the time. Well, I can't feed them every minute of the day, so they're not as big as they would be as if they were with mum. But they're still not bad. These are heat pads and we must keep them on heat. As you can see, they love the heat. If you don't put them on heat, their body functions would start to slow down and they would die. So they must be kept on heat. They're absolutely fascinating. It's lovely to watch, have something so small. These were about 1 inch big when I got them in. So I'm quite proud that I've got them to this size.
So Carla is asking at what point does their spikes become spiky rather than soft?
Well, when they're born, within 2 hours, it's the white spines, and within 9 days, they've got the full colour. And even these are not really spiky. I suppose when they become an adult, which is about 1 year, that's when they're really, really hard. They do sleep a lot, which is good for them.
And what is the main predators in the wild?
Well, their worst enemy would be a badger. Foxes do get them, but not often, because it would be easy for a fox to hurt them. But dogs get them, and unfortunately human beings. And when we try to tell people things like bonfire night, or if you're going to have a bonfire, always check it first. If you've got drains, if you've got a pond, always make sure that you've got something in your pond that if the hedgehog falls in, it can get out again. They can swim, but they need a ramp to get out of again. And if it's really hot weather, you have to think they can't actually forage for food because the ground is so hard. This is when we ask people to put food out for them. Dog food or cat food, it's always helpful. They are on the decline, so we try desperately to get them back into the wild again. Today, I'm actually releasing 6 hedgehogs today, So we do try to get them back to where they've come from.
And why are they declining in the wild?
Because people's habitat has changed. People don't have their gardens as they used to. We need people to have wild areas at the bottom of their garden if possible, just for all wildlife, not just for hedgehogs. Bless them. So they've all just had a feed, so that's why they're all sleepy.
And how you say that their main predator is the badger? Are they quite fast moving?
What, hedgehogs?
Yeah.
They can run quite fast, but a badger can run faster. When they're in the wild, a hedgehog needs at least 10 gardens to survive in. So if someone says to me, can I have a hedgehog? I have to make sure that the area that they're in is safe as it could be, and that they could go from garden to garden, because they do travel quite far. I think it's a privilege if you've got a hedgehog in your garden, I really do. The only thing people have said to me, could I have a hedgehog because I've got slugs in my garden? And I would say, no, I'm not going to let you have it, because if they eat too many slugs or snails, they can get something called lungworm, and that can actually kill them. There's so many facts that you could learn about hedgehogs. They are really interesting creatures. Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening about my hedgehogs. Please come to the centre. The animal centre is now open, so please come and see us. And if you see me or in the centre, you can ask me anything you like, and if I've still got these babies with me, I'll bring them out and show them to you. Thank you for listening to me.